Today's video is brought to you by the good people over at patriotpost.us. They are a fantastic source of news and information, and a link for them will be in the description box. So when you go over there and subscribe, tell them that ABL sent you. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about an incredible hot take from Chris Hayes over at MS13 NBC, which is really just ridiculous. I've seen it all over the social media, all over television, a little bit of everywhere, and it's crazy. But before we even get into it, let's go ahead and roll the clip. In this clip, you'll see Chris Hayes speaking, I guess, in front of a studio audience. I'm not really sure who he's talking to, but you'll see what he said. You'll see the context he gave after that. After we get done with that, I'll talk about what he said, give you my 2 cents, and then I'll wrap it on up with a nice bow on top. So without further ado, let's go ahead and roll it.
But I think there's actually a deeper philosophical thing happening, which is the question of what exactly American democracy is for. And the weirdest thing about the Electoral College is the fact that if it wasn't specifically in the Constitution for the presidency, it would be unconstitutional. Here's what I mean by that. Starting in the 1960s, 1961 particularly, the Supreme Court started developing a jurisprudence of one person, one vote, right? The idea is that each individual vote has to carry roughly the same amount of weight as each other individual vote, which is a pretty intuitive concept, but it was not a reality. There are all sorts of crazy representational systems that were created that would not give one person, one vote and would disenfranchise certain minorities. You can guess which ones. Here's an example. Let's say you got a city, it's 60% black and it's 40% white, okay? Here's how you ensure white people stay in charge. Divide the city into 4 voting districts, right? But you put the entire black population in one district, 60% of the people. And then each district elects one city council member. And voila, now the city council for a majority black city is run by a majority white government.
Okay, so you saw that, you heard what he said, you saw what he said. Now that was crazy. Chris Hayes, like, was that the best you could come up with? If it were not in the Constitution, then it would be unconstitutional. That's generally how these things work. I mean, the easiest way to see if a thing is not constitutional is to start by reading the Constitution. I mean, I understand there's like interpretations and different things that may not be expressly in there. And then you got to kind of like judge and see what's really going on. But the fact that it's there lets you know that it is constitutional. I mean, that whole thing he said was just really ridiculous. And before I even go any further, what's the beef with the Electoral College anyway? I mean, I'm seeing people on TV talking about, oh, well, the presidents or presidential candidates, the hopefuls or whatever, they only campaign to certain parts of the nation, like 40% of the nation, because of the way the Electoral College system works. But if there were no Electoral College, then you would have a worse situation. I'm not sure if that 40% number is actually true, but what I do know is that regardless of the number, it's definitely more than the number of states you would need to hit if there were no Electoral College. If it were just about the popular vote, you would just go to New York, California, Texas, Florida, and that's pretty much it. Illinois, Chicago, that's it. Go to the bigger population centers. And if you are on the left, just go to the liberal population centers. Go to New York City, Los Angeles County, and that's pretty much it. Focus your energy on there. Don't go to any other flyover states. Don't go to any conservative states. Don't go anywhere. And then as far as your campaign and your promises and things you want to actually do, things you're going to follow through on, all you got to do is worry about the big population centers. You know, worry about, free needles and heroin and stuff like that on the left coast. Worry about things on the East Coast in New York, what people in the ivory towers in the sky are concerned about. Don't be worried about the regular everyday people. All right. Now, under the Electoral College system, you may have some places that kind of get overlooked, but it's harder to do that because all these electoral votes, they matter. And you never know what one particular state's interests are versus even a neighboring state. I mean, Indiana and Illinois may have 2 totally different actual goals in mind because of Chicago and Illinois and because of Indianapolis and Indiana is two different places, two different regions, cultures. You don't have as many transplants into Indiana as you do with Illinois. It's a different system that exists in both states as it relates to the voting pattern as a whole in the state. You understand? So each state has their own different set of things they need. The electoral college system, quite frankly, is ingenious. It keeps candidates more honest than if there were no system. And something else to ponder, to put into your pipe and smoke, is the fact that we are not a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. I keep seeing your presidential hopefuls and popular people in the Congress on the left. They talk about, oh, we are a democracy. You got to improve the democracy. You got to protect the democracy. AOC put out some kind of op-ed or something, or matter of fact, I think it was an op-ed written about her in one of these leftist rags. It might have been Washington Post, Huffington Post, or whatever. They're talking about AOC understands the democracy better than Republicans. And then she commented on it with the retweet talking about, I keep seeing people say that we're not a democracy or that we shouldn't be this, that, and the third. Let's just focus on facts. We are not a democracy. Under a democracy, you have my rule. 51% of people say a thing, then that's what it is. There's not really any checks and balances. You don't have the system that we have. It's not based on pure democracy. We have elements of democracy here. That does not make us a democracy. We are a constitutional republic. When you recite the Pledge of Allegiance, you say, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God. You don't say to the democracy, you say to the republic. It's very simple. So let's just get our facts straight. When people want to talk about democracy, this, that, and the third, that's not where we live at right now. Those countries may exist on earth, but that's not the US of A. And then to get to the whole thing about, he was alluding to gerrymandering. We're talking about the voting districts and how whites can stay in power and keep black folks down. A couple of things with that. Even if you have a majority white government in the black city, does it really matter? What does the color of a person in charge actually matter? It doesn't make a difference. I mean, you go to Baltimore, it's a chocolate city. You got black mayor, black police chief, mostly black police force, black city council, black this, black that. But look at the state of the actual city. It's not doing very well. You've had 3 black female mayors back to back to back that all resigned or had to leave or got resigned because of circumstances, corruption and allowing riots to happen and stealing money from people on Toys R Us gift cards. All those things happen. I don't care who you are, what color you are, just go in there and do a good job. Go in there and do the job that we vote you in to do. That's it. So this whole thing about, oh, well, you're a black city ran by a white government, it doesn't really matter. I don't think most black folks care either because, let's be clear, the front runner right now for the Democratic Party is an old white male, and I can guarantee you that he would get the majority of the black vote regardless of what. You can have Joe Biden running against Ben Carson, and Joe Biden would still get the majority of the black vote, unfortunately. We're trying to fix that over here. We're trying to get people away from that and come over to our side, but that's going to be a process that's going to take years. As of right now, today, they would still vote for the white man over the black man if they think he's the best one for the job. But then getting back to what he said about, the black and white thing, he acts as if black people and white people are just totally different, no similarities, nothing in common. And if you are not totally ruled by blacks as a black person, then you can't have anything go properly and everything's going to be bad. See, people like Chris Hayes that live in the Ivory Tower probably live in all white neighborhoods, or if they live in a black neighborhood, they kind of feel guilty about it. These individuals don't understand the way things really operate. Once you get down to brass tacks and talk to people, we are much more similar than we are dissimilar. There's certain cultural things that are aligned to race, of course, but it's not like this big hard line in the sand where we can't talk to each other and enjoy each other's company or anything like that. That's just not the reality of the situation. But leftists like Chris Hayes want to perpetuate that narrative, which is totally wrong, in my humble opinion. So that's pretty much all I got. What say you? Do you think that Chris Hayes was correct with his characterization of these neighborhoods that have blacks and whites, where blacks may not rule the particular place? If you think that he's right about that, let me know why in the comments below. If he's wrong about that, let me know why in the comments below. And how about the Electoral College? Are you a fan of it? I am. Like I said, it makes candidates, hopefuls, or whatever you want to call them, whatever they are at a particular point in time, it makes them be honest. They can't just go to certain high population centers that have a lot of voters that may vote for them. They got to go all over the country. You can't be like Hillary Clinton and insult people that are in coal, like in Ohio, West Virginia, talking about, oh, the coal jobs are gone and not coming back, this, that, and the third. You have to be able to appeal to everyone in the country and for that particular region's needs, for whatever they have going on, for whatever they may want from you. You got to be able to really talk about that. You can't just say coal is bad talking to Californians. A lot of leftists in California may be on board with you, but they are not the ones that are affected by that. When you're talking about the jobs, that's people in Ohio, Western Pennsylvania, West Virginia, parts of Kentucky, parts of Western Virginia, not West Virginia, etc. So that whole region right there may say, you know what? I don't like Hillary Clinton. I'm not going to vote for her. And those valuable electoral votes will not go towards Hillary Clinton. She won a popular vote and lost the electoral vote for that particular reason, in my humble opinion. Trump was able to appeal to the majority of America geographically. Hillary appealed to higher numbers of people in very small areas. That's why, in my opinion, the electoral college is good. But whatever your comments are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.